I've discussed in the past several times the idea that something being extremely relatable can sometimes take it up multiple notches in enjoyment, and that's definitely the feeling that I got after watching Call of the Night, a series that is airing in the summer 2022 anime season. This is my impressions on the first episode of the series, so let's jump right into it. Call of the Night, or Yofukashi no Uta, is a series that follows a guy named Ko. And Ko, right at the beginning of the series, sneaks out at night. He slowly creeps out the door and sneaks out successfully. And what we kind of find from Ko walking around is he finds a sense of freedom from this. He's out in the middle of the night, he's away from his family, away from everything, responsibilities, in the night where everything's quiet and peaceful, and he can sort of let himself be free. You get a sense really quickly that Ko is trying to run away from something. You get these little brief flashbacks of this girl confessing to him at school, him rejecting her because he doesn't really understand love at the time, and it seems to lead to some bullying. Like, some people seem really mad that he rejected this girl. And this has led him to having trouble sleeping, to the point where he's trying to research different methods to help himself sleep at night. But unfortunately, most of the stuff just involves drinking, and he's not of age yet. He's only 14 years old. Well, at some point, when he's looking at a vending machine, he sees that there's some beverages in there that he could drink to do that. He catches the attention of a girl named Nazuna. And while he's afraid of Nazuna because he thinks that she's going to turn him in to the police, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that to you. Instead, kind of pulls him around and kind of shows him the wonders of the night, running into some drunkards on the side of the road and cheering for them and giving them high fives and just enjoying things. But eventually this leads to her saying, look, I look for people like you that have problems sleeping, and I want to help you out, so come back to my place. And so when they arrive there, and it's just a big room, empty room with just a futon in the bed, she says, lay down. And of course he's thinking, okay, this lady's crazy. I need to get out of here. She's trying to seduce me or something. She's like, no, you're not going anywhere. Just lay down. I'll help you out. I'm here to help you. And after he lays down, he's like, no, I'm just going to fake that I'm sleeping. This lady's obviously nuts. But at the same time, she's kind of nice. So I don't think she'll do anything. I'm just going to lay here and pretend that I'm sleeping. I've done that before, obviously, because he has sleeping problems. Well, as he's laying there, eventually Nazuna's like, look, are you asleep? Are you really asleep? But eventually she's like, good, I can't hold back anymore. And then that's, yes, when we realize that Nazuna is a vampire, and she bites right into his neck. Well, her reaction is like, oh my gosh, this guy, his blood tastes delicious. And he, of course, wakes up going, wait, what the hell just happened? And he, of course, sees the blood, and she's like, oh, it was a mosquito. And he's like, oh yeah, it's a mosquito. That's not right. Didn't fool him at all. And then this leads to, obviously, her confessing that, yes, I am a vampire, and I drank your blood. Sorry. But Ko's like, so am I supposed to become a vampire now? She's like, no, you're not going to become a vampire. And he's like, well, why not? Isn't that how it works? She's like, no, that's what everybody believes. And how Nazuna ends up explaining it is that in order for somebody to create offspring, a vampire to create offspring or other vampires, they have to have the person they bite fall in love with them first. It's kind of a requirement to create offspring. But not only that, but Nazuna's very embarrassed by this. It's very difficult for her to get this out. And she doesn't really have a desire to create offspring. It's been her whole thing to just use drinking blood as a way of feeding. Whereas, yes, there's other vampires that seem to do it in a way to create offspring. But Ko's upset by this because it seems like Ko wanted to become a vampire. This would work out for him because he enjoys the night. And as they continue to talk, you get the sense that this is the furthest place from pain that Ko has, night. This is something that he's actually enjoying, and yes, like I mentioned before, this seems to be something that he strives for. That the life of a vampire and the life of the night would actually be something that would be fitting to him because he finds so much freedom here. Again, it's the furthest place from this pain that he currently has, which is seemingly bullying. So Ko decides, I want to fall in love with you. Allow me to fall in love with you so that you can bite me and then I can become, when he robs me, I can become a vampire. And even though, again, Nazuna is kind of against this, he doesn't really like to make offspring, she finally relentlessly says, okay, well, I'll let you do that, and I'm going to keep biting you, because obviously it seemed like she really enjoyed his blood. I'm going to keep biting you, you do what you want to do, I'm not going to help you, I'm not going to go out of my way to help you fall in love with me or anything. And eventually this leads to Nazuna helping Ko experience the night even more by kicking him off of a building. But then catching him and flying around with him and letting him see the night lights and everything. So yeah, that all leads to my thoughts on Call of the Night. This show so far is fantastic. First of all, presentation. This show looks really fantastic. They really did a phenomenal job of creating the sense of the nightlight. The setting, the tone, the colors, everything just kind of pops in the feel of the nightlife. The darkness, but yet the brightness of the lights around him. A lot of these perspective shots and these empty streets, all these kind of shots that really give a sense of, again, this freedom and the quietness of the nightlife. I also really do love the style of not just the environments and stuff and the perspective shots, but really the characters themselves. Nazuna looks really fantastic. She has a little bit of a pointness to her that's kind of unique to anime, if you want me to get specific, getting a little bit creepy, but I really do like these character designs so far, and based on the PVs that I've seen of other characters that they'll introduce later, I'm really liking it. So visuals, the style itself, the music that really kicks in with it as well, I think is really fitting. I love the OP, and especially the ED. They're just really fantastic, and they really capture this theme that really feels like the show is kind of portraying. Got a very pop feel to it that I really do enjoy. But aside from the visuals and the style and everything that really do fit with what I'm enjoying the most, which is the story, I really do love it. Like I said at the beginning, there is a sense of creating something that you can really relate to. And honestly, for myself, nightlife is a feeling that I relate to. Not nightlife as in, clubs and stuff like that, but just that feeling of going out at night and having that emptiness of the streets and the quietness that you get, rather than the bustling city and the noise that's created by vehicles and people running everywhere. Similar to how Ko puts it, there's a sense of freedom that comes with it. Walking down the street at night, away from everything else, away from your life, away from your job, away from people around you, there's a sense of comfort that comes from that. And yes, there's the dangers as well, running into people that you typically find at night, so don't get me wrong, but outside of that, there is a sense of a comfort from that. But not only that, but I typically do a lot of my work at night. As much as I try to put out videos for content that's releasing at day, there's a lot of times where I get a lot of work done at night because it's a time when nobody's bugging you, you don't have any sort of interruptions, you're just kind of by yourself, you're away from everything, and you don't have to think about anything else. And again, that's kind of a relatability that I have with Ko in this experience, is getting the furthest you can be away from the things that pain or take too much of your attention. And so while this story really does capture that, it captures that isolation that comes with hiding away at night. But that aside, I love Nazuna so far. I think she's fantastic. Like I said, I really do like her character design. Let's be perfectly clear. Toga from My Hero Academia, vampire, basically. And for that reason, I love her. She looks great. She looks mischievous. But at the same time, something I wasn't really expecting from the PVs and synopsis, Nazuna seems to have a side of her that's reserved. She doesn't like the idea of talking about love. That's the one thing that throws her off. She's like, oh yeah, you can become a vampire, but it requires, and then she gets super blushy, love. She doesn't want to admit that stuff or talk about it. And that was kind of a cute side that I wasn't really expecting. And that does kind of throw a wrench into what Ko wants, which Ko wants to become a vampire. And to do that, he requires love. And obviously, as we've already kind of laid out, he doesn't understand love. He's already had somebody confess to him, and he rejected that person because he doesn't understand love. And so that's obviously going to be the difficulty in falling in love with Nazuna, because he doesn't understand what love is. So that's obviously going to be the thing he's got to overcome throughout this story, I'm sure. But like I said earlier, and according to the PVs, it seems like there's going to be other vampires coming after him. So, and that's probably, and I kind of assumed that was going to be the case, probably because he apparently tastes good. So everybody's going to be out to getting his blood. But yeah, great episode so far. Has some subtle comedy beats in there as well with like the mosquito and stuff like that. Again, Nazuna looks fantastic. I love her character so far. And again, like I say, Ko is extremely relatable in his nature of wanting to get away from things at night. Like I said, the whole theme of this whole show seems to be that aspect of the freedom of night and getting away from the daylight. Well, the way that Nazuna puts it is the people that stay out at night are people that are trying to essentially get to that point where they're okay with the day. Like, I didn't feel like this day was fulfilling, and so if I stay up a little bit later, maybe I can get to that point where the day was fulfilling. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more. It looks fantastic. Great characters, great setup, very relatable. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what's thought of this series if you're going to be checking out. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I do coverage of anime, new and old, first impressions, reviews, news. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support us more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I definitely appreciate everybody it does, including Antonio, who recently gave us a tip. I greatly appreciate it, and y'all take care.